Visiting Angkor Wat is something that's on many people's bucket list. Today I'm gonna check out this amazing temple complex. And I'm also gonna try to give you some tips about how not to get scammed when you come here. It's 5 o'clock in the morning right now. Time to see Angkor Wat at sunrise. Wow, this place never sleeps. 5 and people are still going on. There's a lot of people heading to the sunrise and no one really knows where to go and everyone is walking in the dark, but it's a pretty nice experience. A tiny bit of the majesty of watching the sunrise at Angkor Wat is lost because there's a horde of people crowding around a small pond. Well, I'm not gonna say anything cause I'm also here in the middle of the crowd trying to get a good shot. Angkor Wat is an enormous temple complex and it's actually the biggest religious monument in the world. It's a Hindu-Buddhist temple because it was originally dedicated to the god Vishnu, but it was later converted into a Buddhist temple. When I say temple, I don't mean temple as we typically know it. It's more of a sprawling temple complex or a temple city. In the Khmer language, Angkor Wat actually means city temple or city of temples. You've probably seen the word Wat in Thailand as well. Buddhist temples are generally called Wat in Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia and Singapore. The word is said to have its origin in Sanskrit, either from the word Vata or from the word Vataram, which means something like enclosure. Angkor Wat was built in the 12th century and it took 28 years to complete. Then 27 years later it was raided and sacked by a people called the Charms. Not very charming of them. The next king rebuilt the temple and had it dedicated to Buddhism instead, because he felt like the Hindu gods had failed him. The Angkor Wat we see today has had a lot of restoration work, but it's essentially the same temple complex as more than 1,000 years ago. There are many scams associated with trips to Angkor Wat. Cambodia is a pretty poor country, and many people try to take advantage of tourists who want to marvel at this incredible temple. First of all, there's the classic tuk-tuk or remorque scam, where a friendly driver gives you a really good price for catching the sunrise at Angkor Wat and then driving you the whole day, like $15 or so. Early in the morning, he'll drive you to the ticket office first, but after you've gotten your ticket, he suddenly demands double the price. If you start to haggle or decide to look for a different tuk-tuk, then you risk losing out on that lovely sunrise over Angkor Wat. There are a few ways to get around this. One is by booking through your accommodation instead, even though it'll be a little bit more expensive. Another option is to buy your ticket online in advance instead. Then you can drive directly to the temple complex. The driver won't really have much leverage if you're already where you want to go. Oh, and don't pay anything in advance either. That's typically a bad idea. You might think that you're safe if you book a package tour to Angkor Wat. No, not really. Sure, you'll probably get transported in a bus or a minivan, but you'll probably pay too much for the privilege. And you could also find yourself wasting hours visiting floating villages or handicraft places that are obvious tourist traps. Even if you rent a bicycle, chances are you'll be scammed either way, because people might be asking for a small parking fee, regardless of where you park. That scam is probably not worth making a fuss over though, it's such a small amount of money. Speaking of tickets to Angkor Wat, you might also find people who try to sell you fake tickets. To protect yourself against that, just don't buy stuff from random people on the street. Go to the official ticket office instead. You might also find fake guides trying to sell you their services. Official guides will always have some sort of credentials they can show you. I guess the credentials could be faked as well, but nah, that's probably too much effort. And speaking of fake stuff, you might even run into fake monks around the temple. They might offer you incense and pray for you, and then they'll want a lot of money. I think you can tell if it's a real monk or not, though. Inside the temples, they should be authentic, otherwise the guards would kick them out. Personally, I just don't accept anything from anyone, regardless if they look like monks or not. Just say no to monks. And then you have all the cute little children. Those little buggers even run up to you and hug you. They really want to pull at your heartstrings. But I'm sure you know that you should never give money, or candy for that matter, to begging children. And nothing else of value either. If you do, you just give the parents incentive to keep the kids out of school and on the streets instead, cause they help bring money to the family that way. Don't give those cute little hooligans anything. It's really for their own good. I've even heard of fake orphanages that put on shows with children. I haven't seen any of those, so maybe they're a thing of the past. Let's hope so. Keep your eyes and ears open and you'll be fine. People will overcharge you for drinks and souvenirs and stuff like that though, but that's to be expected at a tourist site like this. There might be pickpockets and purse snatchers though, so make sure you keep an eye on where you have your bag. Where's my bag? Oh, it's on my back. Good. But things like that are common at every major tourist site, so that's nothing special for Angkor Wat at all. I mentioned that Angkor Wat is a temple complex, so it's quite spread out. This is the Bayonne Temple, the south gate. Those guys look exactly like the Canadians in South Park, don't they? The temples really are spread out quite a bit. You don't want to walk between the temples. Make sure you have some sort of ride. Back in its glory days, 1 million people lived inside the whole temple area. Angkor Wat really is magnificent, and there's way too much to see in a single day. You'll probably need a couple of hours at every major temple, so make sure you plan your time wisely. The Bayonne Temple is something you definitely don't want to miss. Don't spend all your time at the main temple of Angkor Wat. There's a lot of monkeys around the temples as well. The monkeys are adorable, but as we all know, monkeys are cute little thieving bastards. So make sure that you keep a close eye on your wallet, your phone, your bag, everything. Do you know what's brown and sticky and sounds like a gong? Dung! For some reason, they don't allow my DJI Pocket 2 at these sites, but I'm trying to be sneaky and film a bit anyway. Shh, don't tell anyone. If you notice that there's a difference in quality between some of the shots in this video, especially when it comes to stabilization, that's because I had to film a lot with my phone as well. So yeah, now you get to see, is Asus Zenfone 9 or DJI Pocket 2 better? The Ta Prohm Temple is amazing to see, and this is also where they filmed one of those Tomb Raider movies. I'm not sure which one exactly, but the one with Lara Croft maybe? This is often called the Jungle Temple, but if I understood correctly, Ta Prohm actually means Grandpa Prohm. It's most famous for the place where a tree grows in the middle of the temple, an amazing display of nature's power over human civilization. Angkor Wat has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1992, and it's one of the most important archaeological sites in Southeast Asia. There have been many conservation efforts to keep the site intact, and most of those efforts have had little impact on the authenticity. What you see is basically what people would have seen in the 12th century, except for all the Western tourists. And I guess it's a little bit more rundown as well. The temples have also mostly been spared from destruction, despite a lot of wars and unrest in the area throughout the centuries. It's almost like something divine is protecting the area. However, some of the sculptures have been destroyed by bacteria and algae over time. Almost everything at Angkor Wat has been built by brittle sandstone, and some of the parts have been replaced by replicas. It's unfortunately just a matter of time until even the mighty Angkor Wat is lost, but hopefully it's a long time from now. The amount of tourists visiting is probably not helping though. In 1993 there were just 7,650 visitors to Angkor Wat, but that figure rose to 2.6 million by 2018. Tourism died completely during 2020 and 2021, but it's definitely picking up again. And that's not just a good thing. The locals of Siem Reap have complained that the town has lost its charm and atmosphere since all the businesses are catering to visiting tourists. And you can't really argue against that if you take a walk along the pub street. There are ongoing discussions about how to ensure that local values and cultures are maintained while still being an attractive place for tourism. Personally, I think that sounds like a very tall order. I'm afraid that tourism inevitably leads to a lack of cultural identity. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this place can prove that there is a way to do it. But for now, I would definitely say that tourism has put its mark on the town of Siem Reap and on Angkor Wat. There you have it. That was a list of things you should know before you visit Angkor Wat. I hope you found it useful. Like and subscribe, but most importantly, have a great day. Now check out this video. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a video about Cambodia or Vietnam, but check it out anyway, it's gonna be good.